Here's a preview of what you'll hear on this episode of Beyond the Wheel.
The issue with jack feet is they're all slightly different. Some of them have upturned lips. Some of them are square or octagonal. So you always have a slightly different engineering challenge when it comes to leveling systems. And then when you go down towards, the travel trailers, they have stabilizers. So it could be a hand crank system. It could be an electric system. And there's all sorts of different feet, 5.5 inch, 5 inch. Some of them are round, some of them are square.
Now enjoy the show.
You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com. Hey everyone, before we get this episode started, we wanted to let you know that Sean and I have been asked to attend FMCA's 106th International Convention and RV Expo, March 15th through the 18th in Perry, Georgia. We will be putting on a live daily show every morning for the full event. So if you're going to be at the show, be sure to stop by our booth and say hi.
We want to thank Echo One Adventures for sponsoring our trip to the FMCA convention. Echo One Adventures is a company that does electrical installs in all types of RVs and rents travel trailers fully outfitted for off-grid living. To learn more about them, go to EchoOneAdventures.com. Thanks again to Echo One Adventures for their support.
We love welcoming old guests back on the show. And today we're excited to have Kent Wilson, COO of SnapPad, return to tell us all about the exciting new products that SnapPad now has to offer, like SnapPads for truck campers and a rubber cap for traditional yellow stackers. He also shares some exciting products that are coming down the pipeline. So without any further ado, let's get this episode started.
Hi, Kent. Welcome back to the podcast. First of all, congrats on all the success of SnapPad. We've been kind of following you guys almost since you got started, and it's very cool to see how you guys have grown so big over the last multiple years, I guess. For anyone that might not have heard any of the previous podcasts we've done with you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at SnapPad?
Yeah, I'm now the Chief Operating Officer here at SnapPad. I was the third person who officially joined the company back in the day. It's a family company, though, so I'm the oldest brother. My middle brother and my dad were the founders, and then my youngest brother also joined us over time. So, yeah, I originally started out heading the marketing, but I kind of moved into a more operational role now that there's more people to manage in the company, so a bit more to do on that side.
And so SnapPad, me and Kenny know, but give our audience a general overview of what SnapPad is.
Yeah, so we call it the world's only permanent jack pad. It's like rubber shoes for your rig. We started out making 9-inch round ones for the Lippert systems that appear on a lot of fifth wheels, and we kind of went from there. And all they do is they use the weight of the rig and the leveling system. They snap on, they stay on, and it eliminates a lot of the hassles you get with manually carrying around typical jack pads.
Yeah, they save our back. They save my back anyway.
Yeah, saves a lot of time and pain for sure.
Yeah, and people are always surprised when I tell them that, because when you look at a SnapPad, I always like simple products. I consider your product to be simple. It's simple to use, and it just simply works all the time. And they'll look at it and they're like, "Is that shoe or that SnapPad really that much of a difference?" And I can tell them, "Yeah, it really is, because I've had the SnapPads on my rig at campgrounds, and I've had it at times before that." Been to these same campgrounds, and with the SnapPads on there, I didn't need to go underneath my rig to put the blocks under to level. So it definitely saves time, and for me, it saves my back. I have a bad back, so the least amount of time I got to spend under the rig is the best.
Yeah, nobody likes crawling around under RVs, and I say that as someone who has installed a lot of snap pads over the years. So just doing that the once and not having to do it again is nice.
Yeah.
So we asked you back, Ken, asked you back on the show because you guys have been developing a lot of new products and adding them to your lineup. The first one we want to talk about are the caps you developed to be used with those plastic stackers. I guess that's
Right.
the right term for it, stackers. Did the
Yep.
idea of the caps, did you guys get that idea from customer feedback, or was it some other reason?
Really, it was just sort of internal kicking stuff around. Now we're still developing sort of what we call big tent pole ideas, which are going to come out this year. But yeah, there's these little sort of supplemental ideas that we kick around too, because we have a lot of leveling accessories in the office when we're doing our R&D. So there's stackers everywhere, and there's scissor jacks, and there's metal feet. And when we put some stuff through their paces, and when we put metal feet and other things on stackers, which are usually plastic, we notice they slip around, they fall off. It's kind of awkward. So we figured, we make rubber products. Why don't we just make a rubber cap for these? One, it adds that sort of grip and friction factor, but it also protects those plastic blocks because we know that there's issues with them, cracking and stressing over time. So yeah, it was just one of those, let's just try this out and do it.
Yeah, I've had my stackers for the ones I have now probably 5 years, and I had to take my RV into the shop recently, and I was pulling everything out of my underneath storage. I noticed that a couple of my stackers were actually cracked.
Mhm.
So the cap kind of maybe helps prevent that a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal. It's the same rubber we use, so it's recycled tires, obviously, and then you put it on the top of the stack, and it absorbs a lot of that pressure that's coming down on them.
Does that also snap to that stacker, or is it just like lipped and it just sits on top?
Correct. Yeah. So there's cavities in the bottom, and they go on top of the things that are on top of most stackers, right? So it fits, I'd say, 80 to 90% of the common plastic 8x8 sort of stackers that you see out there. Not all of them have the same sort of design on top, but most of them do. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with Sean too. I've had stackers in the past, and they don't seem to last very long. I don't know. I don't know if it's the material they're used, but they seem incredibly brittle, where they'll snap and break pretty easily. That I've had. I guess they come in different colors. The only ones I'm familiar with are the yellow ones. I'm not really sure if different brands are made differently or what, but the yellow ones for me in the past have been pretty brittle. Yeah, they haven't been all that robust, especially in the desert in the sand where it'll sink into the ground a little bit, and once it gets a little bit of flexibility into it, they just break apart. They're not the best thing. So your cap will actually help make them last a little bit longer then.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal, and to up the stability and, frankly, safety factor. Another reason this kind of came to mind is I live in a small town outside of Calgary here in Alberta, Western Canada. So it's about 8,000 people, fairly rural, and a lot of people have RVs parked right on their property. So I walk around my just my neighborhood and see people have blocks and other stuff. They've got them underneath their rig, but we have a long winter here too, so sometimes it looks kind of sketchy. Let's put it that way, to have these big RVs with metal feet sitting on either wood or these plastic stackers. So it's like nice to get some rubber in the mix there.
And you had mentioned that they're being still made out of the same recycled materials and the same rubber that you guys are using for your traditional snap pads.
Yeah, everything's made out of recycled rubber tires and binder here in the U.S. I say here, but domestically, I should say. So yeah, we don't import anything from overseas. It's all made in the USA.
Has that process changed since the last time we talked to you, or is it still very similar? Has any like supply chain issues or anything like that? Were you affected by that in any way to get your recycled rubber?
Yeah. So well, definitely in the pandemic, we had a certain size. So the rubber crumb comes in different sort of sizes, like from powder all the way to kind of big pebbles. And the stuff we were using previously to 2020 was finer crumb, and it started to go away. So we moved up to some of the thicker crumb, and we found it's actually more robust. It doesn't look as pretty, but this is a utilitarian product. So if it lasts longer and we can get the material more readily, we figured we'd go in that direction. And then in 2021, I think everyone remembers that cold weather snap that moved down into Texas and caused all sorts of havoc. It actually caused a North American-wide shortage in urethane and binder because the primary basic factory made it out of Texas, right? So we had a hard time getting our hands on urethane. But ever since then, luckily our supply chain has. It took about 2 years for us to recover from the pandemic, but we finally kind of smoothed it out.
Now I know that the traditional 9-inch snap pads, they have some weight to them, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I think it really helps a lot with the product. But how much do these caps weigh? Are they about the same weight, or are they lighter?
No, they're a couple pounds.
Okay.
Maybe 2.5 at most when you get one. Yeah, the extras that you're talking about, the 9-inch ones, which are substantially bigger, they're about 4.5 pounds typically.
Oh, okay.
But they got to stand the rigors of the road and being, having very heavy RVs put on them. So.
And will these caps, like you said, they fit onto the top of a traditional kind of stacker? Do they stay in place, or is that something you have to remove every time you're going to use it?
You disassemble them. It's kind of like just having another piece of the stack on top, just the way you stack them and disassemble them. Regular stackers is just one of them's rubber.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
We made that product as simple as possible to use.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good idea because, like I said, I've never used a stacker on or your SnapPad on top of a stacker, but just because those stackers are so brittle and I really don't feel like they last very long, I think it's a good idea for you not to like kind of permanently attach that to that stacker that might break or fall apart, and then you got to try to peel your cap off of it or something like that. I think it's better that they don't kind of permanently snap to them. And I know you said aesthetically that it's a product for the SnapPads that are more more functional than pretty. But the first time we put SnapPads on our RV, my wife looked at them. She's like, "Wow, this really dressed up our RV." And I was like, "If you say so." It's like, it's funny how people look at things differently.
Yeah, for sure. And we've actually started to brand SnapPads on the side of them. So the last probably 20 months, if you've bought them, you've probably got SnapPad right on the outer edge of it. So it looks a little fancier. We like it.
And are these? I know you guys went through some extensive testing on your SnapPads, as far as shake testing and all that stuff. It was pretty involved. What kind of testing are you doing for durability and function on the caps?
It's a little easier just because, you have to be really careful with SnapPads because they're going on and they're supposed to stay on a foot and people are traveling down the highway on them. So we always put them through rigorous testing. This one was mostly just getting the prototypes done, bringing them in. We have a bay here in the office and we have a big hydraulic press. So we just put it under tons of pressure to see how it does. And then we handed it out to beta testers. So as I said, I'm actually surrounded by RVers in my community. So we just kind of put a Facebook thing up on our, like, anyone want to try these? And then, then we went back to them and said, how are they performing? How do you like them? And just that easy, really.
Oh, cool. So
Yeah.
a lot of customer feedback then. That's always good too. We like to hear about companies that really do listen to their customers. So
Yeah, that's the process we go through all the time. So we get the prototype done. If we need third-party lab testing, we do that, and then we find people who just want to try it out and then go use it and come back and say what you like or what you don't like about it.
Okay. And then what about warranty? What type of warranty comes with the caps?
We just put the standard sort of 2-year warranty that we apply to SnapPads. It just makes it easier. But honestly, I think they would last forever. I don't know how you could destroy one of these. Honestly, they're very robust. So the 2-year warranty is just for cohesion across the product line, but it's it's something that's, unless you're really abusing it in some strange way, you're going to have it for as long as you have your RV, I think.
Yeah, I think I've switched RVs, so I only kept 2 of my original SnapPads when I moved to my new fifth wheel, and I left a couple on the old one. But I've had those since like 2018, maybe, and
Yeah,
they look just
and
like they did.
SnapPads,
Yeah, they look
yeah,
just
and
like
they're
they
going
did.
to absorb way more abuse than, say, the Cap, right?
Yeah.
So
So yeah, I think that's definitely longer than 2 years is the expectation, I think, for most people based on that. So you also started making some smaller pads that can be used with travel trailers and truck campers. Most people would think all you had to do was take the original SnapPad and make it smaller, but we think it's probably more complicated than that. Can you kind of
yeah,
discuss what's involved in making a new product line?
sure, yeah. So the first thing we did with when we started at 9 inches, we went bigger. So we went to the power gear stuff that is big 10 inch. The issue with jack feet is they're all slightly different. Some of them have upturned lips. Some of them are square or octagonal. So you always have a slightly different engineering challenge when it comes to leveling systems. And then when you go down towards, the travel trailers, they have stabilizers. So it could be a hand crank system. It could be an electric system. And there's all sorts of different feet, 5.5 inch, 5 inch. Some of them are round, some of them are square, and you don't have the same level of the RV isn't as heavy, and it's not a hydraulic system, so it doesn't have all that downward pressure. So it's slightly different to install smaller pads like that on stabilizers rather than leveling systems. So yeah, every time we make one, we got to order the feet, we got to test it out. And the funny thing is sometimes the manufacturers of the jack feet themselves, the jack feet will change slightly over time. Now you wouldn't be able to tell by eye just looking at it. It looks like the same foot, but you start putting them into market, and people go, "This is too loose" or "This is too tight," and then you get the foot, and it's off by a quarter of an inch, which is enough when you're making products like this to throw it off. So then we go back and we make a slightly different foot with a slightly different cavity just to make sure it fits like a glove.
But
right?
that involves like new tooling and everything at the production facility. So it's not cheap to make a small change to the pads, I'm
No.
sure.
Yeah, exactly. So we're molding these out of rubber, as noted. So it's big industrial metal stainless steel tools that are put into multi-cavity and multi-ton presses. So yeah, and then we're trying to get it within millimeters typically, which is much smaller than even a quarter of an inch. So if something goes wrong, then yeah, it's back to the drawing board.
Are all these manufactured in the same facility, or do you have different manufacturing facilities?
We have different ones. So when the pandemic hit and our demand spiked, our primary manufacturer had a lot of problems dealing with the demand. So we had to go out to multiple manufacturers. Our 2 primary ones right now are in South Carolina and Michigan. And they have totally different, honestly, different capacities, different processes, different presses, but they both have figured out how to make the pads at scale, at least.
Did you guys run into like any challenges that maybe you didn't expect when moving to a truck camper?
Every time we can't anticipate what's going to be next because truck campers, some of them have happy jacks on them. We can't make snap pads for happy jacks. They're just, I don't know if you've seen that system, but the feet are about this big.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I can't put a foot on that. But yeah, some of it is making sure you can get the snap pad on, because with truck campers, the way they're set up, it's more difficult than just put it below, snap it in. So there's more in-depth, sometimes, installation instructions for something like truck campers if we make a pad that fits on the foot. So I think the Rico Titan system, we do make something for that.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking like a traditional motorhome or travel trailer, our jacks are underneath, whereas I feel like on a truck camper, sometimes they're on the side or the body of the truck itself. And I was just thinking like maybe a clearance issue or anything like that.
Yeah, clearance issues are across our entire product line. Most fifth wheels, you don't see it unless the system is set too low. Sometimes we recommend people move it up because you can do that on fifth wheel, a lot of them. But a lot of Class A motorhomes, if you get underneath the RV, you'll find a random bar, or it'll be too close to the tires. And so we always try to, especially Class A owners who order from us, we do get back to them and say, please do a clearance check before you put these on.
Okay. And I know they're called minis, but do they still offer like the 1-inch height to the jack when they're snapped on?
Yeah, that's pretty standard. The midis really, we just shrank them down like this, but they're all, roughly the same thickness, aside from the SnapPad Prime, which is what goes on the Power Gear, and the Power Gear is this big sort of bold foot, so we had to make it a deeper cavity.
Oh,
Okay.
deeper then.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a big pad, but it goes on really big rigs. So,
like a diesel, are they for diesel pushers? I'm not even sure if I'm familiar with them.
Yeah, it's Power Gear, and that was bought by Lippert recently. So Power Gear probably doesn't. I don't know if it exists anymore.
Okay.
Lippert's sort of phasing it out over time, but it used to go on big 40-foot plus diesel pushers and things like that, right? Yeah.
On the website, it says they're tested from negative 40 degrees to 120. Is that just testing like the brittleness of the pad and the melting point of the pad, or what? Why do you test that large of a range of temperature?
Well, the first third-party lab we contacted just told us some of the tests it could do. So the shake test was obvious because we wanted to make sure it wouldn't fall off. But they did recommend, you've got rubber here. It's being put together under pressure and heat. The binder. Let's just see what it does at extreme temperatures, because that was just one of the capabilities they had. So we said, sure. And they put it through, and it's like, oh, it's fine.
Oh, great.
Which is good. We're making it out of tires, right? So you'd hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. So you mentioned that the two major plants that you're building are in the United States. Are all the products still being made in America?
Yep. Everything's made in America.
Nice. Okay. Did that help supply chain issues for you guys? I would imagine it did.
Yes. So we weren't stuck waiting for, things to come overseas. I heard the sea cans got to $24,000 per to ship during the height of the pandemic.
Wow.
So, and then they were stuck in port, weeks and weeks. What didn't help was we had to source new manufacturers remotely from Canada because nobody could travel for a long time. So trying to find a manufacturer where you can't even physically take the product with you or look them in the eye or look at what they're doing was definitely the most difficult thing of scaling our supply chain.
Okay.
Speaking of that, I'm not familiar with European or New Zealand or Australian RVs, so I don't know if they have leveling systems similar to ours. But are you guys selling product in other countries or other continents besides North America?
Not yet, but we do have interest from Germany. It's the first sort of overseas interest we've gotten. It was from a distributor who there is a leveling system that isn't Lippert, but looks like it was very similar to Lippert. So we have sent them some pads to try to install. And if it works out, they might just start ordering sea cans and manage the sales, probably B2B sales over there for us. But we're very early. But yeah, you're right. We've heard the Middle East, there's RVing. We've heard in Australia, as you point out. Now, I think Australia has a very different sort of set. A lot of what they call caravans and probably Class B sort of motorhomes. So it might be a different product mix altogether over there, but we don't really know until we get there, I think.
Interesting.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's great. And we also noticed, like, as Sean and I were like we went to your website to just see what was going on and what was new with you guys. And we noticed that you guys now have drink coasters that are in the shape of SnapPads, which I'm going to order once I get back home because I thought that was a cool idea.
Oh, yeah. Right
are
there.
they? Oh, do you have one right there?
Yeah, that's what the drink's on.
Are they also made out of the same recycled material, or are they? I'm guessing no, but they are.
No, they are.
Oh,
yeah. So it was a passion project of our head of research and design. So we have a dedicated person to just making new products here, and he's the one who has his office filled with all that stuff I mentioned earlier. But We always used to take other coasters to conventions and rallies and stuff, and they sell out, but they weren't our product, and they're getting increasingly harder to get. So he said, why don't we just make one that looks like a SnapPad? So he went about designing it himself. He ordered a little tool. He started making them in the back on our manual press, and he got down to a point where I think we could make these at scale. So yeah, they're super popular. We now do take them to rallies and conventions when we can, but he started making different colored ones too. So he started making camo ones where you can color the rubber with different kinds of binder. And yeah, he's made desert camo and forest camo and all sorts of fun stuff. Those we can't make at scale because you have to like physically mix them. But yeah, even the black ones, everyone, they're, I think just like the Cap, this is a coaster that will last as long as your RV at least.
Yeah, we have a bar at home, so I'm gonna order 2 for our bar at home. Now, you just mentioned though that some of the coasters come in different colors. Would you ever do that on your full size scale, like one for an RV? Would you ever start making colors for the RVs?
We have tried it, yes. So it's something that's in the background. He also made a camo sort of. He made one when he went down and tried this at scale with one of our manufacturers in South Carolina. And yeah, he has done single color SnapPads, so it ranged from like dark green to almost silver. And then he did a couple of camo ones. The one is now sitting in our CEO's office because he likes it so much. So don't know if it'll ever be a thing that we sell, but it's in the back of our mind at least.
Okay. And something like that, Kent, do you guys send out a survey and say, hey, SnapPads is thinking about changing the color or adding additional colors? Do you send out like a survey to owners to get feedback on it? How do you decide if it's worth the venture of even moving in that direction?
Yeah, we actually do an annual survey every year. We're set to send ours out at the end of the month. So it's usually everyone who bought in the last year or so, we send something out and we ask them about their experience with their product and things like that. If they would recommend it to friends, what improvements we can make to the website, all that sort of thing. We also started asking what other products you'd like to see from us. So we're starting to get recommendations. I'd like to see a new wheel chock or something like that, right? So we do have stuff on a list, and I think at some point, if we do want to go forward with the colored SnapPads, it'll either appear in that survey or we might just put it out there on social media and have people, comment, see what they think.
Geez, I think you guys would make a great wheel chock. I think the materials that you guys use and your dedication to like a quality product, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely on the roadmap after we get over the next couple big product releases that we have in mind.
So what other products do you guys have out now that besides the different snap pads and the stacker pads, what other products do you guys have out now that we maybe Kenny and I missed?
So there's 2 other accessories and there's 2 other ones that are in development, so you wouldn't know about them. But the 2 accessories are what we call the donut. So that was a swivel wheel chock dock. So we noticed a lot of wheel docks were kind of just things with a cavity in the middle, so you could spin it around and stuff. We have one with 2 slots. So if a 6-inch wheel or an 8-inch wheel and you have a utility or sometimes travel trailer, you can put it in there and it'll stay. It locks it in. So we actually have a lot of people on the marine side who are interested in that product. Then we have something else that we call the base. We designed it for the bottom of, those red buckets that go under like fifth wheels.
Yeah.
We heard a lot from a lot of people that those can sort of crack over time. So we literally made a rubber base for those. They slot right in. And so it's rubber, so it makes a bigger footprint and it absorbs a lot of pain, I suppose, that the bucket doesn't have to anymore. So those are the 2 accessories aside from the drink pads and the cap. Our next sort of major product release, which should happen the next 4 weeks or so, is scissor jacks. So that was like the last big thing we've been going after. We've been working on it for 2 years. Obviously, trying to put a SnapPad on a scissor jack is extremely difficult. So what we've come up with is actually an adapter kit. So if you have a scissor jack setup, you'll be able to order this kit, which will have a custom-made metal foot. and then the SnapPad pre-installed on it, and it'll come with the hardware. So all you have to do is pop off that bow tie, put this on, and you'll have that foot and that SnapPad will probably last a lot longer, and it gives you way more surface area too.
Yeah, I would imagine that trying to snap a SnapPad onto a scissor jack would probably be impossible for most people.
It is.
Yeah.
And all the bow tie feet, there isn't one standard size. So they're all over the map. Right? So you'd have to make half a dozen different SnapPads. You don't know. Yeah. So we just said, let's just take that foot off and put on a new, better foot.
I think last time we talked to you, Kent, it was still mainly just family members that were involved in the business. And I think that was early 2020, probably, when we talked to you last. How much has the company grown as far as staffing since? It seems like you guys have a lot more products now. Have you guys grown a lot in people?
We're up to 19 people now, I think. So our office used to be my brother's apartment, but now it's an actual office with a bay and all sorts of other nice things in it. So yeah, we have a rep group in the US that represents us for the wholesale stuff. Our main engineer lives in the US, so he can go and visit our manufacturers if anything's going wrong, but everyone else is up here in the main office. So there's people, customer service, because that's really important to us, a marketing department, a couple people in sales, our R&D guy, obviously, and then the rest of us who started the company still working for it.
And I know people can order the SnapPads online, but are you guys in stores? Like, can somebody go to, say, a Camping World and take a look at a SnapPad? Because I think your product is one of those products that, like, once somebody sees one in person and picks one up and handles it, they're like, wow, this thing's robust. It's really strong. I can see why so many people are putting them on their RVs. Is this something that people can see in stores?
Yes, so we're working with every major distributor in North America at this point. We should be in at least 500 dealerships, I would say. Camping World we are talking to, but we're not in there yet, so it takes a little while for an outfit that big to jump aboard. But yeah, we're really hoping to start getting into as many dealerships as possible moving forward. Our goal is to be in every one of them. Who knows if that'll happen, but we do think, I've worked with closely some of the people who started selling SnapPads way back in the day as the first dealers. And a guy I recently talked to said, 75% of the rigs we sell now roll off a lot with SnapPads on them, because he says, well, he's a full timer and he's been using SnapPads himself. So he says it's a really easy pitch. We consider it, a must sort of accessory for anyone who's buying an RV. So that's kind of our goal: get into as many dealerships as possible and get them sort of that add-on accessory when you're buying an RV.
I know when I first bought my SnapPads, it was rare for me to see another RV with SnapPads on them. And Sabrina and I would walk around campgrounds and be like, hey, that guy's got SnapPads. Now it's almost rare. Now it's become almost flipped. Now we see them on all the RVs, and it's rare for us to see an RV without the SnapPad on them. So you guys have really, really grown.
Yeah, I think we've sold over 500,000 SnapPads to date at this point. Which isn't too bad, but there's 12 to 13 million RVs in North America, so it's still a long way to go. And there's every year another 400,000 on average are made. So yeah, it's a really good start, but we think there's still a lot of runway for us.
I bet your father, I mean, if people should go back and listen to our first episode we did with Devin, which was actually our first episode, I think. He talked a lot about that your father was in the business many years ago. He must be just over the top excited about how popular an idea that he had many years ago is finally coming to fruition.
Yeah, the funny thing about our company is those plastic leveling blocks we talked about earlier. My dad and his friend were pretty much the first ones to come up with the first version of those products and launch them into the RV space. Unfortunately, he didn't stay with that company long term. It was diluted out of it by an investor. So yeah, it's quite gratifying for him to come back to the RV industry with his sons and his family and have a successful product that now he can stick with and see through to the end.
Well, I think that's all of our questions for you. But before we let you go, is there anything that we might have missed or that you'd like to add to the conversation?
The only thing I'll say is the other big product we have planned is our own kind of stacker. So people have come to us, especially people with bigger RVs who can't use the existing plastic stackers because they get crushed pretty much immediately. They've been asking us for years for something else. So that's on the front burner right now. But because there's so many stackers out there, we want to make sure that ours brings something else to the table. So it's going pretty rigorous, but we're hoping to have something out this year. So if people still use stackers, maybe they'll take a look at something new this year.
I do use them on
Excellent.
occasion when I'm not in a very level site. So,
Right.
yeah, it's that would be a good product to have. Like I said, mine are falling apart right now as we speak. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to try and make them last.
Stay tuned.
I'm going to try and make them last until yours come out.
Sounds good.
Well, thanks so much, Kent. We really appreciate you. We really appreciate you coming back on and keeping us updated on what SnapPad is up to.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully we can do this again in the future.
Definitely.
Kent and the team at RV SnapPad have done an amazing job developing products that solve a problem for RVers everywhere. Their growth has been impressive, and we are excited to see what they will do next. Be sure to check out their website and let us know what you think about RV SnapPad. As always, thanks to Battleborn Batteries for making these episodes possible. Safe travels, everyone. We'll be in your ear soon with a new episode. Also, if you're going to be at the FMCA rally, stop by and say hello.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com. With the complexity of all the systems in an RV, I always say it's not if something's going to break, but a matter of when is something going to break. That is why I think an extended warranty for RVs is so important. We first interviewed wholesale warranties back in 2019 and immediately became impressed with how their policies worked, such as you can take your RV to any licensed repair shop, including mobile repairs. They also have personalized service plans, making sure you are getting the right policy for your needs. And if you think your RV is too old for a policy, you might be surprised to hear that RVs up to 20 years old can still be approved for a policy. That is more age lenient than most RV parks I've stayed at. Go to wholesalewarranties.com/beyond the wheel or click the link down below in our show notes to get your free quote today.